Hi all, welcome to episode number 61 of Professor Visa and Education Services News Update. My name is Nish. I'm a registered migration agent in Australia and also Director of Professor Visa and Education Services, MARA 1568498. Now, I've got a lot to cover today, so I'm going to go straight to my points, some of the key issues that we are facing and some of the major changes on legislation that we all need to be aware about in relation to visa application. And also I'm going to shed some lights on GSM, regional visas, and other teething issues and some of the concerns that our applicants and new potential clients are actually approaching us in relation to some concerns. Now, moving on to, first of all, 482 visa, sponsorship visa, TSS, of course, and also ENS direct stream, TR2 stream, and 187 direct stream. Now, regional RSMS. Now, SHAF levy. Now, this is something everyone needs to be aware about, especially if you're looking at a sponsorship visa from 12th of August 2018. They have introduced the SHAF levy. Now, the SHAF levy means it's the Australian employer who needs to pay to sponsor any overseas worker. Now, this money will be raised and used for funding of vocational education and training for Australian workers. Now, this is the replacement of the training benchmark that the employer used to meet previously on a sponsorship visa. So now there's no more training benchmarks, or those ones who have been predominantly operating this kind of businesses. It's pretty bad news for those guys. Now the government has actually taken control of themselves, so they're going to start raising this levy. Now, when do you need to pay this levy is a big question. So obviously the application form hasn't changed, so you need to fill up the whole application form for 482 visas or ENS visa as per normal, and when you make a payment at the end, the system will calculate in terms of how much you need to pay based upon the size of the business, which I'm going to take you through in a minute. Now, for TSS 482 visa, doesn't matter if it's MLTSL, which is the medium to long-term list, or short-term list, or regional skill occupation list. The occupation, the SHAF levy is same. If the business has a greater than 10 million turnover, 1800 is what business has to pay every year at the time of nomination application, and the turnover is less than $10 million, then it's $1,200 per year for TSS visa payable at the time of nomination application. Now, this is what we need to consider as a migration agents, that before, when you give out the schedule of fees, that you do mention about the SHAF levy to the employer so that they don't get a bill shock. Now, it's important that we incorporated that amount of money when we actually anticipated the costing of the visas. Now, the other important factor is if you're lodging ENS visa, which is 186 visa, permanent residency, after you finish your 457 visa or a 482 visa, 2 years TR2 stream, or RSMS 187 direct stream. Now, the turnover 10 million. The one-off fees is $5,000 payable at the time of nomination, and turnover that is less than 10 million is one-off fee of $3,000 payable at the time of nomination. That means there could be a multiple application, so be mindful of that. So it's just the one-off fee. Now, in terms of refund, the employer will ask you questions about what about this levy? Is that refund available if things doesn't happen in their favor? In terms of refund, there's a clear articulation of what you need to produce or what you need to demonstrate, because it's always tricky when you're dealing with the Department of Home Affairs when it comes to refund, because they have some set guidelines, and of course the process itself is quite daunting to actually get refund from Department of Home Affairs. Now, in terms of refund, now yes, only in certain circumstances. I'll give you some example. If nomination has been approved, the application is approved, however the overseas employer don't want it to continue with the employment, and he rejected the offer. So the offer and acceptance is not there anymore. So what that means is, of course, you can demonstrate that to Department of Home Affairs and they will simply do the refunds. But now, when I say simply, I would say that's what you need to demonstrate to get a refund, but the process itself might not be as simple. Now, moving on to labor market testing. Why I'm focusing on 482 visa at the moment is I'm getting a lot of students, a lot of people who have their fabulous employer who is willing to sponsor them, because these guys have now decided, oh look, it's about a time I need to think about my permanent residency. I have to move to regional area, and as soon as they talk about the regional area, the employer obviously do not want to lose them, so they're offering them sponsorship option. So the key message here is, if you don't have 2 years full-time equivalent experience in the field, and the occupation of course has to be on the list, depending upon medium to long-term or a short-term list, if you don't have 2 years equivalent work experience full-time in this area that you wanted to apply for a sponsorship, please do not come or book in any consultation, because there's no use, because your application simply will be refused based upon the fact that you don't have adequate experience in the field. Now obviously if you're a cook or a chef, they are mandatory skill assessment occupation, so please, once again, just because you got 2 years experience as a cook or chef, that might not qualify you to apply for sponsorship, because these are mandatory skill assessment occupation. That means for cook, of course, you need 3 years full-time experience to be assessed, and chef, same thing. Now, the other thing is labor market testing. That's a very important factor. Now, the labor market testing is basically to justify justify the Department of Immigration or the Home Affairs that the employer has actually done enough exercise to hire a local first before they consider overseas employee. So what that means is, we need to advertise a job before, and of course you heard about people advertising job in Gumtree, Indeed, Job Indeed, Jora, seek.com.au, those kind of recruitment website. Now be careful, labor market testing now has to be paid, and also at least one paid advertisement has to be supported. Just to be in safe side, 2 paid advertisement needs to be supported. Now Gumtree is no longer a valid advertisement proof for labor market testing, so please avoid using Gumtree. Now if you have radio advertisement or TV or newspaper, absolutely fine, but you need to produce the invoice to show that you actually paid for those advertisement, and a copy of the script or the proof that you have actually advertised properly. Now those are the crucial thing. Now, the most alarming thing about some of the news that came out recently, where Department of Home Affairs really thinks it's not a major thing. However, now we think it's a major, because now 482 visa application refusal, which is a sponsorship visa, 482 refusal application, or repeat, now may not come with the review rights. It's a big news for those ones who thinks they're going to leverage some time, they're going to buy some time when they have lodged the 482 visa, that employer haven't been supporting them, and now they have actually gone down to pathway of getting application refused anyway, in a hope that once that is refused, they'll go to Administrative Appeal Tribunal, which is AAT, for the case to be reviewed and buy some time, and they can do some general skill migration. But no, be careful, because these days the nomination application, once that is refused, and when you get the natural justice, which is 28 days to comment whether or not you want to withdraw your application or you want to proceed with the application, and potentially you're going to get refused. If you reach that point, and if a visa is refused, you may not get a review rights, which is dangerous, because if you don't have a review rights, then guess what, 35 days, leave the country. Now obviously there's other avenues you can choose for it, which you need to seek a proper professional advice in terms of what sort of options you got available. Now that's your no review rights is quite dangerous, quite alarming. We all senior agents, we are talking about this, and there are some situations where people haven't been given a natural justice, which is the invitation to comment, and the visa has been refused without any further comments and without any review rights. For example, if your application is lacking 2 years experience in the field in nominated occupation, now the indication is your visa may be refused without any further documentation or natural justice to comment, and it may not come with the review rights. Be absolutely careful about that. Now, department obviously is not connected with the applicant, because they think it's a very small news for migration world, but we think it's a massive in relation to a lot of the most of our clients, especially for those ones who's been promised sponsorship and their employer really pull their support halfway through and they sort of stuck in a limbo. This is the bad news for those guys, definitely, because they were hoping that when they put the appeal, they can buy some time. Now, moving on to general skill migration, some regional visa. Last week, we did receive some concerning phone calls and emails from clients from Tasmania, especially in relation to their concerns about some education provider. And now we wanted to shed some lights on that one, because obviously there's no facts and grounds for state government to prove that they are studying in not an eligible education provider. On that note, I think predominantly VTI students has been impacted. Now the message is we can't comment because none of our applicant has been impacted by this particular thing that a lot of people are getting refusals, and I wouldn't say there's a lot, but there's a few refusals that people are getting. And on the comment it says they need to do research about the education provider and all of that. Now we have contacted education provider. Education provider is confident in terms of they haven't done anything wrong, and they have organized a meeting with the state government along with the compliance officers to ascertain what has gone wrong. Now, at this point, there's no facts, there's no evidence in terms of what's going on. So speculation is not going to help you guys. So stop, providing rumors about things that is not validated, or things that is not verified yet, because that's only going to make things worse. So in that situation, I'm going to move on to Canberra. So I mean, look, in terms of Tasmania, I think by next week, a lot of things will be quite clear, and people will get the answers they're looking for. But none of our clients has been impacted, which is a good thing. But if you are impacted by this particular education provider question mark, then of course I would suggest that you wait until your education provider gets back to you with the solid answer. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone's doing the best to make sure that you guys get the best outcome out of this whole saga. Now, wish you all the best. If you guys need any help on that one, of course, ProVisa will be available in Hobart and also in Sydney office. Now, people in Canberra. So we spoke with the authority recently via email, and the indication is that some updates will of the review process in terms of what's going on will be updated in the website soon by late September. However, what we have noticed in our website, 190 ACT website, is that they have actually uploaded the section saying more information, and it's very kind of Canberra government that they've actually put down the booklet, which gives you some insight about what other stuff the stakeholders are doing at the moment in terms of ascertaining what sort of rules or eligibility criteria or the fairer system to approve 190 application is currently under process, and some really good insights are in that booklet. And if you have time, I'll really suggest go to the ACT website and click on the more information, have a look into the booklet, and that will give you more insight about the eligibility criteria and all of that kind of stuff. Now, the one word is, I have been getting a lot of inquiries from people from Canberra in relation to when is the Canberra going to be open. Now, the question is, regardless if the Canberra going to be open or not, the question is, are you ready if it's open? That's the question. So a lot of people after 1st of July have lacked on their points, so they don't really have 65 points, or some people still have to finish their study. Some people still haven't got the job in the required level. So the question is, am I ready if the 190 nomination for ACT is open today? That's what you need to ask yourself. So if you think you are ready, then yes, of course, the impatience will kick in, and for that we need to wait for the announcement. However, majority of the people who have actually spoken with me recently about the concerns about when the ACT government is going to open the 190 are simply not ready. Now, senior Australian migration agents and some law firms have actually gone above and beyond their advocacy level, and then they have gone to the public advocacy and also organized some protests in Canberra, which is, I think, is a great initiative to show that you disagree with the unfair decision of suspending the 190 nomination at the peak time when some of the applicants who have actually relocated themselves from major cities to Canberra in a hope of getting 190, and when they were just about to lodge the nomination and it was suspended. So look, not just us, based upon the fact, there are a lot of lawyers and migration agents who are actively involved in talking with state government in relation to the unfair suspension, and of course we're gonna anticipate that they're gonna open soon. Now, once again, the message is make sure you are eligible, make sure you got the right points, make sure you're ready if they actually open the 190 nomination today, for instance, because a lot of you are simply not ready for your nomination application. Now, some great news for Central West applicants. Now, obviously, Professor Visa and Education Services has been proactive in relation to scooping those applicants who's got 2 years experience in accounting field, 3 weeks prior to the announcement in website for Central West. And thank you for those ones who have actually trusted us. Now, all the application is, currently in a process, already in on that day, and we're waiting for the recipient of acknowledgement of recipient by the Central West itself. Of course, they're busy at the moment because of tons of application that went on that day. So, a couple of weeks more time, and then we'll get some acknowledgement from the state government, Central West. Now, thank you to RDS Central West for the initiative to open this gate for accountants as well. We could not thank them enough, because obviously accounting, IT engineers, these are the popular occupation that we need help to, to settle these skilled migrants as soon as possible. And if Central West is putting their hand up to take some accountants and popular occupations like IT and engineers, I would like to personally, and our company would like to thank you for your initiative, because I really appreciate what Central West has done. Now, Orana region, in other hand, has obviously recently closed all the occupation, and they put the message in their website saying if your visa is expiring very soon, please email them with your reference number and mention the compelling compassionate situation, why your application or nomination should be considered before normal line, which is 7 to 8 weeks time. Now, the good thing is some of you guys have, of course, listened to us once again and have gone and visited RDA office offline. And even despite of the fact that application was closed online, most of I would say, there's obviously there's a cap, but then as many clients as we know who are eligible for Orana region have been able to put the application in on time. Even the application was closed in a website, the RDA Orana was taking some application offline. However, there is no guarantee was given. So all they were told that they have been accepted, the application has been accepted, but then the nomination criteria and the eligibility criteria will be assessed and checked. Now, this particular privilege was granted for offline applicants because simply Orana region being fair to the applicant, those ones who are already moved and have been living and working in Orana region. I think that's another great initiative by the state government to consider things like that. Now, when state government does things that will help our migrants to settle, we have always appreciated that. Now, if state governments when they go and give unnecessary pressure or trouble to students or applicants, that's when we have always been vocal about it. But the kind gesture of Central West Orana region is always appreciated. And now another regional area, Northern Inland, have announced today that some of the occupation will be closed very soon, which is when I say very soon, in a couple of days time. Registered nurses and hairdresser, for example, your application, if you are ready, put your application in now, otherwise they're going to be closed very soon. Now look, there are some occupations like cook and chefs. If you are eligible for it, you have 3 years experience, please come and see us. We will assess your qualification and your experience, and we will make sure that there is some option for you to move to interstate. Now, there has been a lot of inquiries about Northern Territory and South Australia. Because this particular video is very long already, 20 minutes. This is probably my longest video I've done because of the lot of pending, lot of news. I think I won't be able to cover the Northern Territory and South Australia, which I will try to cover it in my next video. But today, I think it's a hell of a lot of information for you to absorb. Mainly on SHA 482, no review rights. That's alarming. Canberra, Tasmania, Central West, Orana region, Northern Inland. I think I covered the most of the important stuff that you need to know. Now, the other thing is, of course, Professor Visa and Education Services here is providing PT and NAATI classes. Now, the exclusive offer has been extended for this week until, $4.99 for unlimited PT classes and $5.99 for unlimited NAATI classes. And the unlimited time is for 3 months, 6 months for now, which will be shortened to 3 months very soon. So take the advantage of that. Now, of course, we are located in level 7, 702 83 York Street. Free half-an-hour consultation. Please feel free to come and see us. There are paid consultation over the phone for people who are interstate. Please call our landline and check the availability with our admin people to make sure that you guys book in quite early. It has been great to serve you guys, and it has been a great response from market. We are reaching our 100,000 likes in our Facebook page, so please keep supporting and sharing our video amongst your friends and family. Please write us a review, comments, likes, shares. That's what keep us motivated. Now, obviously, I'll be back again with more exciting news and the important news that you need to be aware about in terms of settling in Australia, or in education part, or if there's any services that will benefit you. Thank you for watching. Keep watching, keep sharing, and keep supporting us. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.